Let's look at bread in Judges. Let's go to chapter 7 and we want 13. And when Gideon was come, behold, there was a man that told a dream unto his fellow, and said, Behold, I dream a dream, and lo, a cake of barley bread trembled into a host of Midian, and came into a tent, and smote it that it fell, and overturned it, and the tent laid alone. Let's go to chapter 8 and we want 5 and 6. And he said unto the men of Succoth, Give, I pray you, loaves of bread unto the people that follow me, for they be faint. And I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmaiah, king of Midian. And the princes of Succoth said, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmaiah now in thine hand, that we should give bread unto thy army? Let's go on down to 15. And it came to pass unto the man of Succoth that said, Behold, Zebah and Zalmaiah, with whom ye did upbraid me, saying, Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmaiah now in thy hand, that we should give bread unto thy men that are weary? Let's go to chapter 13 and we want 16. And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Though thou detain me, I will not eat of thy bread. And if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it to the Lord. For Manoah know not that he is an angel of the Lord. Let's go to 19 and we want verse 5. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and after go your way. Let's go on down to 19. Yet there is both straw and provender for our asses, and there is bread and wine also for me, and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servant. There is no want of anything. Let's go to the book of Ruth, and we want chapter 1, and we want verse 6. Then she arose with her daughter-in-law, and she meant return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Let's go to chapter 2, we want verse 14. And Boaz said unto her, At mealtime come thou hither, and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar. And she set aside beside the weepers, and he reached her a poached corn, and she did eat, and was satisfied, and left. Let's go to 1 Samuel, chapter 2, verse 5. They that were full have hired out themselves for bread, and they that were hungry ceased, so that the burden hath borne 7, and she that hath many children is waxed feeble. Let's go on down to 36. And it shall come to pass that every one that is left in thine house shall come and crouch to him for the piece of silver and a morsel of bread, and shall say, Put me, I pray thee, into one of the prince's office, that I may eat a piece of bread. Let's go to chapter 9, and we want verse 7. Then said Saul to his servant, But, behold, if we go, what shall we bring the man? For the bread is spent in our vessels, and there is not a present to bring to the man of God. What have we? Go to chapter 10 and 1, 3 and 4. Then shalt thou go on forward from hence, and thou shalt come to the plain of Tabor, and there shall meet thee 3 men going up to God to Bethel, to carry 3 kids, and another carrying 3 loaves of bread, and another carrying a bottle of wine. And they will salute thee, and give thee 2 loaves of bread, which thou shalt receive of their hands. Let's go to chapter 16, we want verse 20. And Jess took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. Let's go to chapter 21, and we want 3 through 6. Now therefore, what is under thy hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or what there is present. And the priest answered David and said, There is no common bread under my hand, but there is hollow bread, if the young men have kept themselves at least from women. And David answered the priest and said unto them, Of a truth woman have been kept from us about these 3 days, since I came out, and the vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in a manner common. Yea, though it were sanctified this day in the vessel. So the priest gave them hollowed bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread, and that was taken from before the Lord, to put hot bread in the day when it was taken away. Let's go to chapter 22, we want verse 13. And Saul said unto him, Why have you conspired against me, thou and the son of Jesse, in that thou hast given him bread and a sword, and hast inquired of God for him, that he should rise against me to lie in wait, as at this day? Let's go to chapter 25, and we want verse 11. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed from my shellers, and give it unto men whom I know not whence they be? Let's go to chapter 28, and we want 20 through 25. Then Saul fell straightway all alone on the earth, and was sore afraid, because of the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all the day, nor all the night. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thy handmaid hath obeyed thy voice, and hath put my life in my hands, and hath hearkened unto thy words which thou sayest unto me. Now therefore, I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of my handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, and thou mayest have strength, then thou goest on thy way. But he refused, and said, I will not eat. But his servant together with the woman compelled him, and they hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth, and sat on the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hastened and killed it, and took flour, and kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it before Saul, and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they arose up, and went away that night. Let's go to chapter 30, and we want 11 and 12. And they found an Egyptian in the field, and brought him to David, and gave him bread, and he did eat. And they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of a cake of figs, and 2 clusters of raisins. And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him, for he had eaten no bread, nor drank any water 3 days and 3 nights. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 3, and 28 and 29. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner and the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on his father's house, and let there not fail from the house of Joab one that has an issue, or that is a leper, or that is lent on his staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. Let's go to chapter 6, and we want verse 19. And he dwelt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the woman as man, to every one a cake of bread, and a good piece of flesh, and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, every one to his house. Let's go to chapter 9, and we want verse 7. And David said unto him, Fear not, for I will surely show thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sake, and I will restore thee all the land of Saul thy father, and thou shalt eat bread at my table continually. Let's go on down to 10. And thou, therefore, and thy sons and thy servants shall till the land for him, and thou shalt bring in the fruits, that thy master's son may have food to eat. But thy master's son shall eat bread always at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Let's go to chapter 12 and look verse 17. And the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. Let's go on down 20 and 21. Then David arose from the earth, and washed, and anointed himself, and changed his apparel, and came into the house of the Lord, and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. Then said his servant to him, What thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive, but when the child was dead, thou didst rise and eat bread. So chapter 16, 1 and 2. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bundles of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and the bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, that what mayest thou by this? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine, what such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. In the Strong's, it is 3899. Food, bread or grain, fruit, loaf, meat, and victuals.